Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today, our guest is Ryan Wehner. Thanks for being on the show, Ryan.
Hey, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, Ryan is a president and managing member of Wehner Multifamily LLC. He has grown Wehner Multifamily LLC from managing one apartment community in 2006 to managing 100 plus apartment communities with over 28,000 units as of January 2019, and has overseen over 1,000 apartment unit renovations over the past year. Ryan is a licensed Texas real estate broker with no disciplinary actions or allegations, and a graduate of I almost can't read that. There's
UC Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara, there you go, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in business and economics. He participates in various community and charitable organizations, including Entrepreneurs Organization, a Union Gospel Mission, and the Knights of Columbus. Ryan,
and
welcome to the show. What's and St.
now
Jude's.
St. Jude's.
There you go. Well, you are an expert in property management, no doubt about it. I mean, 28,000 units. That's quite a feat in itself. But your skill sets are so important, and the relationship with somebody like yourself are so important to our business. It's just crucial, right? I mean, that we understand that side of the business, have somebody on our team like yourself that can handle not only the renovations, but just some day-to-day management alone, and ensuring that that's done properly, effectively, efficiently, all those things. So we're providing the best return to our investors and providing the best place we can to, as a home for all of our tenants as well. So Ryan, welcome to the show. Give us a little of that background though, going from one apartment community to 100 plus, 28,000 units or more. And then let's dive into a few other things that you specialize in and that we need to know about.
Sure. So I grew up in Southern California, went to UC Santa Barbara, graduated in 2000. And after the 5-year vacation / party, it's been pretty much a 21-year sprint since. I went right into finance and worked, basically in Excel spreadsheets day in and day out, more in the media and technology space. I did that for a few years, and then I worked in land development in Southern California. In 2006, during this period, I was making 6 figures, 6 months out of college. Back then, that was a lot of money, and but I had the wisdom to live in a trailer in an industrial park and buy as much as I could in terms of real estate in Southern California. And I bought duplexes, single family homes, those sorts of things. And end of 2005, my cleaning lady, I was at the duplex and she said, Mr. Ryan, I'm buying a house. And she was all excited. And she proceeded to tell me she was getting a $470,000 stated income loan. And, I was paying her $75 to clean the apartment. So that kind of spooked me. And I said, oh, well, congratulations. But as I left that apartment, I called up the broker I used a lot there. And I said, hey, we're going to list everything. I think that the sky's going to fall soon. That was a very prescient and clairvoyant move. I didn't know. I think there was some luck, but some gut attached to it. And I sold basically everything through first quarter of 2006. In end of 2005, I quit my job and moved out to, I liked Dallas in terms of valuations. And I liked the fact that it was Fortune 500 friendly and had a large airport. So I came out here, just started pounding the pavement, looking for deals. I bought my own 82 unit and 63 unit here in Dallas. And with the idea that I'd have somebody else third party manage it, kind of get the capital projects done, then move to Costa Rica and surf and set up maybe a propane distribution company or something. I'm kind of a born entrepreneur. And so best laid plans, it didn't work out that way. I had to fire the management company in the first 90 days. And then I met my wife out here and fast forward, 10, 12 years, or I guess it's 14 years. I'm getting old. You can see it with the grays. I just basically started representing buyers from Southern California, South Florida. And, every time they came out to look at deals, they always, in order to do the deal, they kind of mandated that I do the management. They like the way that I operate. And so I kind of got into property management, kicking and screaming. It wasn't a dream or a plan of mine. And then 2008-9, we all remember what happened then. Liquidity kind of dried up. I was pretty much a new buyer broker, was only in the business for a couple of years, very few deals to close. So I just doubled my efforts on the management side and, really did no marketing. It was just all word of mouth, references, referrals. And, I was doubling every couple of years for the first 5 years of the business. And then we've had a large growth rate since then. The proof's in the pudding, and you don't get to 28,000 without having large growth rates. And really, I just focused on improving the mousetrap every step of the way. About 8 years ago, and now it's about 9 years ago, we same way kind of got pulled into the construction management and GC work, kicking and screaming. We had a large client, kept on failing inspections with HUD, and we were constantly struggling with the contractor. Finally, I just went to the client. I said, "Hey, look, I have labor. I'll do a cost plus 15 and we'll get this done." And so that kind of sprouted a new business. About 7-8 years ago, we started to, I remember, I recall it, I don't want to bloviate too much, but we went out to, it was back when we had, I think, 6,000 or 7,000 units, and Home Depot flew out somebody from Atlanta. And I remember having a meeting with them, and they were wanting to put together a project with us. And then, I remember at the meeting saying, "Oh, where are you guys staying?" They were staying in a nice hotel. I could tell that the two gentlemen probably made over 150 a year. And it just it was a light bulb. It was like, well, there must be a lot of margin in this product, and Home Depot doesn't have the highest quality of products. So that year I decided to go out to the Canton Fair, the world's largest trade show out in China, and, went out there more exploratory at the beginning. And within a couple of years, we were importing flooring. Another couple of years after that, we import about 18 different products, 24 different SKUs that we've quality engineered. They're higher durable products, and we sell them at a lower price than distributors, and way lower than Home Depot on 90% of the products. And so we import about 10 to 12 containers a month. They're exclusively for our clients at this time. We're entertaining the fact if we will sell them outside of our universe, but obviously the pricing is not going to be the same as our clients get.
That was going to be one of my questions. Are you going to sell it, to other operators?
Yeah,
as well?
They have to be geographically in the same areas that we're at, and we're exploring that now. It's a little bit more complicated than it sounds. The reason that we have higher quality products at lower prices, or the same prices, or lower price for comparable products, or better quality for the same price, is because we don't have marketing and sales. We have a warehouse. So that cuts out a lot of our cost, and that's why the economics of our business, of us being able to provide better products to our clients, works. Because I'm not ashamed to say that we also need to make money along the way. That's the only way business works. And I've been very proud of the company that have grown. In 2019, the end of 2019, we took on a partner in Hidden Harbor, a private equity firm out of Florida. And they've, when we were up to about 25,000 units when we sold a large portion of our business. And, at that point, I'm a very entrepreneurial guy, but I don't know that I'm the best suited to be, the CEO of 1,000 employee company and all these different things. It's just not my mindset. I put on a collared shirt, especially for you, Whitney, today. Typically I'm wearing t-shirts. And so I just, we really felt that Fernando, my CEO at the time, he's still with the company. We were like, look, we need to get some adults in the room. We need to have more professional processes and so forth. And either we can try to build it ourselves, or we can get a helping hand. And obviously we've got some of our chips off the table, obviously, to take care of our family.
Well,
And
it's
that's been a huge blessing since they've been in. We went through. I literally had 23 offers in the first round. I met with 18 of them for between 5 to 6 hours. Went to dinners with them, and they were interviewing us, but we were interviewing them as well. I didn't want a group that just came in, had a 10,000-foot view of shave this much and do this. These are the PE firm that we chose and selected. Is very operationally based. One of the founders was CEO of a Fortune 1000 company. And so they've been there, and that's what we didn't just want a creative financier buying our company.
Yeah, that's such an amazing story of just growth and how, different things that you thought you weren't going to get into, but then it's like, man, you just said, okay, you hit it head on, and exploded that portion of the business, and now moving into other areas as well. I think it's so interesting that it's like, even the import business and creating that value for your clients, but then creating more internal value for your team, in your business as well. So smart. Wish we could all think like that, right? But I wanted to jump into one thing that you are really good at is just having that robust due diligence process. And I wanted us to have a little bit of time to discuss that. So I know you all have, many thousands of data points you're looking at, in a week, or so. And I wanted to just speak to the listener, who's buying that property. They may not have a management team on board as sophisticated or, as robust as yours, but man, there's so many things that we can mess up on in due diligence. My first property I ever purchased, it was 10 or 11 years ago, or 12 years ago, I guess. That was the worst move. I didn't do proper due diligence, and I paid for it big time. I learned a lot the hard way. So help us think through that due diligence process.
So did I, but probably 15 years ago. I'm a little bit older than you. I always tell potential clients and everybody in the industry, you make your money when you buy the assets. Everybody thinks it's when you sell. It's really when you buy it. You need to do your homework up front. And, it's through the hard way. They're all through hard lessons. I wasn't clairvoyant and came up with the different technologies and process in advance. A lot of them were solving previous mistakes, my own money. So in terms of due diligence, the way that we handle due diligence is, I'm going to get a little bit specific here, but I encourage anybody in your audience to go to our website. You see a 9-minute video that goes into it in a lot of detail and has visual aids and so forth. So about 10 years ago, we what I basically did is right when the iPad started coming out is we'll actually go into a property. We'll look at each unit type. So let's say you have a 100-unit building with a 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom. I'm going to go with the kind of an easy example, with nice round numbers. And we will go in there. Our supervisor, maintenance supervisor, will go through and create a template for each unit type. So he'd go in there and do two templates, and all digitally, all by tablet. And we do a 360 review of the interior of the unit. So we're not bouncing from one bedroom to here. It's you turn right, there's a light switch, there's a laundry door. There's a coat closet door, there's a handle, there's maybe a lock on that door. There's the threshold. There is, whatever else is in a coat closet. And they just go from one item to the next. It's really KISS. Keep it simple, stupid, right? And so they go through there, they create a template. That template will have, it's basically an inventory sheet as things pop up. It's going to have anywhere from 300 to 375 data points, down to each outlet, down to each sconce. We can talk all day about every piece of hardware, everything. Yeah,
in every unit.
And so in every unit. So they'll do the 2 unit types, right? And then it'll go into the cloud, into our platform. And then we'll have a team on a 100-unit deal. We'd probably have 2 people come in a couple days later, and it'll be preset for them, and they just score everything 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They score at 1, it needs to be replaced. 2 is a major repair. 3 is functional. 3 is minor repair. 4 is functional with useful life but used. 5 is brand new. And so they will go through there and do. Within a day, they'll be able to walk all 100 units, call it 30 to 35,000 data points. And then we don't just get a bunch of scores. I mean, you'll be able to get a summary of the scores, but we actually have a cost legend that we have. When it has a replacement, it'll have the cost for that SKU for that product. If it's a repair, a major repair, it'll have, think of like a valve stem busted on a faucet, right? 3 is a minor repair. That usually won't be attached to a SKU. It'll have an estimation. So this piece of trim is beat up. It'll have an estimated cost. 4 will usually have a cost of 0. 5 will usually have a cost of 0, right? And so we can go in there at our headquarters. We'll look at the subject property, evaluate what type of upgrade or what's going to happen at the unit turn and what products that we're going to use. And then we put all of that data within the cost legend. Then it's just a simple, I say simple, but simply put, it just aggregates all the data. It'll give you a breakdown of how many faucets are bad, how much you're going to spend on faucets, how much you're going to spend on plumbing supplies, how much you're going to spend in electrical. And it'll give you a good 10,000 foot view when you look at the score summaries of what condition the property's in. So we'll know by unit exactly what the unit turn is going to cost. We'll know by category in terms of electrical, plumbing, whatever, what it's going to cost. And we'll know what the entire project is going to cost. So you can kind of go in there with a fine tooth comb and look at everything. It'll also, we can create different scenarios. Flick of a switch is we can say, look, if you want to do an upgrade and you want to have backsplash, and no matter what, you want to do an upgrade to the faucets. If they're brass, you don't want to have brass there or whatever. We can put in 1 to 5, all replacement. We can put a replacement so you can manipulate the cost legend to do a lot of different scenarios in terms of, look, if we go with black appliances here, it's going to be this cost. If you want to stretch and do stainless steel, you just added $700 a unit on the turn. And then what is the customer or the tenant really going to pay for? So it helps. It obviously helps because we're basically doing the full cavity search, especially with regards to the interior. It also helps with it. It's been a huge driver of business and value to syndicators, many of which over the last 5 years, everybody has to do their first deal at some point. And it gives them, believe it or not, lenders like a lot of data. They like to see that everything's been looked at. We may have a syndicator that, had success raising money, but doesn't have, the history or the resume of owning other properties. This helps the lenders get comfortable with the actual syndicator and the sponsor, especially if they don't have the experience. So that was a huge value driver for many of our legacy clients. Now it's like they were able to get their foot in the door because they have this analysis of the building that is, so exhaustive. We also, in terms of the exterior, the roofs, the stuff like that, we have a more conventional approach like most others. We get 2 or 3 bids for the roof, have a review of that. In terms of major siding projects and asphalt, we do it the pretty conventional way.
Of course, it's going to make any lender feel better when they see that you have a high level of attention to detail, right? When you provide these things that show, hey, we've looked at 375 different items in every unit, and you've categorized, all these things, and you can say, this is what it's going to cost me. This is how long these things are going to last. Just shows you are planning. What are some of the most overlooked items though during due diligence?
A lot of times, oh goodness, I could talk for 10 hours on this. I don't want to say items. I don't want to put it in an item category. What are the best processes in terms of our competitors? A lot of our competitors and a lot of people buying assets go look at 25, 35% of the units, assume the rest of the building is the same way. Big mistake. We look at 95% plus of the units. We have a goal to look at all of them. If there's a dog barking and my employee's afraid to go in there might be a handful that we don't go into. But we want to, the biggest mistake is they don't take a big enough sample. The second mistake is they're usually going in there with notepads or some sort of sheet of paper, an Excel sheet on a tablet, and they're typing in. And there's just a lot of arbitrary, inconsistent results that you get from that process. So I think that's the biggest mistake is, how do you gather the information in the most accurate and repeatable way? right? So, I mean, that's probably the biggest thing. I wouldn't really limit it to certain items, but I mean, there's certain things like, hey, the floor is a little beat up. You have to remember that you're going to be spending an extra, with the flooring contract, you're going to spend another $60, $70 a unit on average to level up the floors, or, there's lots and lots of different things that they miss. The idea is they miss it because they don't have a methodical approach that doesn't allow them to miss it. And so when I have somebody who's been in the business for 20 years, setting up the templates, putting the team out there to walk it, and the people that are walking it are actually employees of ours that do it every single day, they're going to catch more. They probably forgot more about maintenance than most of us will ever know. I don't claim to be a maintenance expert. I mean, people say, well, a lot, at dinner parties, oh, so much about apartments. I know a lot about it, but to be honest, I don't know how to fill a lease out, and I wouldn't know how to change a toilet. I just know how to put the processes, the teams, and grow people in my organization. And I lean on others to be experts in their own fields. That's hard to do if you don't have, volume and scale and all of these things.
It's such a key component, though, for any entrepreneur and for growth, is knowing how to put the systems in place, knowing how to work with people. You don't have to know how to. I just recorded a show not too long ago talking about hiring the right who's, right? You don't have to know how to do the toilets, but you better have somebody on the team that does. All right, no matter what those items are.
Biggest mistake entrepreneurs make, because they've usually started their company and they had to wear every hat, and then typically entrepreneurship attracts control people, alpha control freaks, if you will. And then they don't understand that in order to have a better mousetrap and to scale your business, you have to delegate. And you have to look at it from a silo point of view. If I have an employee that's a head of construction, right? And he's doing it day in and day out, and he's been doing it for 20 years. And he's not thinking about finance and HR issue over here. He gets to focus 100% of his energy on, how much per linear foot is this or that. And he's on top of that. He's going to be better at it than I am, right? Even if he has less God-given talent, doing it all day, he's going to be better, right?
Right.
And so, or she, I want to make clear, we do.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yes, a huge female personnel in our team, but those are things that are huge struggles. You mentioned that I was in EO and entrepreneur organization, and it's a lot of entrepreneurs, and that's probably their biggest struggle to grow their business and to improve their actual service offering or product offering, is that they can't let go. I've been blessed with an innate laziness to always be comfortable I always have very high standards of the product, but I've always had that since I was a little kid, the ability to get other people to do things where it benefits them and ultimately benefits me, and in business, it benefits clients as well. So
it's nice to think about laziness being a blessing, right? And it's so true. So true. What about any tech that you're using that have helped you outside of having that template, on an iPad? Any other tech? I know we talked about some tech for water usage and whatnot. Anything else?
Yeah. So we have that. So just to reiterate a little bit, we have the Suite Inspector that is basically a master aggregator, and we're making some improvements to that right now to get it to the next level. We also have a product called Leakaware that's with I own that technology, but Wehner Multifamily is the main user of it right now, and they have free use of it for lifetime. And so any of the clients that with us get to use it, and it's basically a system to monitor meter readings on and with 2 layers of products there. So we have one where it's the very skinny product, where it basically also has a template of every unit of the water sources, bathroom 1, bathroom 2 faucet, tub, downspout, all that kind of stuff. And then it has, so all of those units are mapped to the meter that serves them. And so if there's a hike in the meter usage, it'll show it's all through the cloud. It'll show on our dashboard that, hey, the meter one is 30% higher than its average daily consumption rate. That allows us to know there is a leak. I'm getting a little bit too simple with it because if somebody washed their car there that day or whatever, but if there's a continuous leak, maybe it's 2 days that it's 30% over, our maintenance tech has to go and walk those units. It basically prompts him on his phone to go and walk those. He has to check off every single item on every single unit on a preset template. It has ability to take photos, everything. And so he can assess the situation. We call them the low-hanging fruit leaks. Hopefully they're not under slab or whatever, but you can go through the low-hanging fruit, see, okay, there was 5 running toilets. And so we're not waiting for tenants to reach out to us. They're not going to reach out to us about a running toilet. It's still working. 9 out of 10 times, they're not going to let us know. You have one running toilet, it's costing you at least $50 a month in water. And that's real money, right?
That is real money.
And that's at a minimum, right? If it's a real bad run, it could be $150 a toilet. So we don't want to wait for the tenants to tell us. We don't want to wait for that water bill that, the meter reader comes out and looks at it from the city or the municipality, and then the bill gets generated 2 or 3 weeks later. All of a sudden, we may have leaks that have been sitting there for 2 months. So for us to have our finger on the pulse, we know that the meter is going up and down on a daily basis. And the way we measure that, the skinny version, is that there's a template right on their phone, a Leakaware app. They type in the meter reading, and then it does all the math and it does all the algorithms there. We now are, and now we're coming up with a better product. Real quick, sorry. That we actually have a piece of hardware that wraps around the meter. There's no maintenance walking and doing meter readings, and it gives literally 5 readings every 2 seconds. It's doing a reading, and then it goes to a hub through a cell phone, basically a data chip or a SIM card, and then it goes to the cloud. And so we will know, look, yes, there was 30% more, but it spiked at, 4:02 in the afternoon. And then from 1 a.m. till 6 a.m, there was no usage. We know there's not a leak, right? Whereas you look at those graphs and you see that there's still water usage in the middle of the night continuously, there's a leak. So it has better algorithm functionality to it. And it's more, the readings happening every 2 seconds versus once every 24 hours. The other product is 20 times better than anybody else in the market. This one is better than what we have. Sorry.
It's incredible. You're talking about real money. No doubt about it. It is real money that you're monitoring those things. It's great to have somebody and even a tool like that can just simplify that process and help you to be so much quicker, not waiting on a tenant to tell you about a running toilet. That's for sure. If you have, like you said, a 200 unit property and you got, 30 toilets that are running, man, that's a lot of money just literally going down the drain. But Ryan, we got to shift gears just a little bit. Your experience in this industry, and so many thousands of units. I've been doing this a long time. What do you predict to happen in the real estate market over the next 6 to 12 months? Any predictions?
Maybe this doesn't make for good podcasting, but I usually don't make economic predictions. As you read at the beginning, I was an econ major. And I learned in college that in economics that they're right less than 50% of the time. So I don't claim to know exactly what's going to happen in the next 6 to 12 months. I think that I do believe that there will be, most multifamily across the nation, but specifically in the markets that we serve, will do better than they have in the last 18 months. I know that that's not... I think we all know that as the coronavirus dies down and the vaccines work and those sorts of things, that more of our working class C and B class type of tenants will be working more often. We won't have the moratoriums on evictions. So I do foresee a tick up, probably at least in the markets that we serve, between 7 and 10% higher in revenues, and it probably just get you pretty close to pre-pandemic, maybe a little bit higher. I think there might be a spike of employment there. In terms of, Because to be candid, every time when we do our 3-year budget analysis that people provide to lenders and underwrite their deals, we don't underwrite, rent growth as relative to the market. It's really based on what are the conditions today. If we do this, that a competing property is doing, we can raise the rents this way. We don't usually bake in, macroeconomic things. I believe that I'm very optimistic. If you asked me to give an outlook for the next 5 to 10 years, I would say I'm very optimistic. I'm putting, the lion's share of my own money into multifamily. The lion's share of my own net worth is in multifamily. I think that trend is going to continue based on, population growth estimates and based on just cultural changes from, everybody wanted to buy their house, that now everybody wants to have flexibility and experiences. So I do think that, rentals are going to continue to outperform other assets over a 5 to 10 year period. In terms of 6 to 12 months operationally, I feel very comfortable in the markets that we serve that we're going to have strong employment in those areas with our socioeconomic type of tenants. But in terms of, is the second financial crisis coming or whatever, I have no idea. So those macro things of liquidity and is Fannie or Freddie going to do this as a result of the federal government's decisions? I don't know any better than I think anybody else.
No, I just love to hear different people's opinions and different things you're considering or thinking about. Even hearing that, obviously you're heavily invested in multifamily, personally and will be, and so that shows a lot of trust in our industry, that you have. But Ryan, what about a couple of daily habits that you are disciplined about that have helped you achieve success?
In terms of the company or myself?
Either one. You could say, let's, maybe one of both.
I have higher expectations for my company than I do for myself, I would think. But, I went in, people said, well, how did you become, you must have been brave to be an entrepreneur. And it wasn't brave. I didn't have it wasn't a decision. I mean, after 5 years working for people, I'm like, I can't do this. This can't be my life. So I'm all in. I'm just going to go make it work. My aunt, my dad, my grandfather before them, they were all entrepreneurs. So it's kind of in my blood. For me, a very impactful, big reason why I want to wake up. I want the freedom, the liberty to do what I want pretty much every single day. So I go out there. I want to improve on something, learn something new every single day. I'm excited to wake up in the morning. 9 out of 10 days, I'm excited to go accomplish what I'm going to accomplish that day. I never give negative self-speak to myself. So I just don't do that. I really never have. You can look at something and say, oh, I have to do this today. Or you can look at it from a different perspective is I get to do this today. It's kind of one of my common responses is, people say, how are you doing? I say, well, I'm doing good. A day above ground is a good day. So I really know that we have a limited time on this planet. I want to learn and achieve things on a daily basis. And I look at problems I look at them from the point of view of solutions versus, most of the time, I'm not a perfect positive guy, but I usually don't look at them as I have to do this. I have to go and talk to this attorney. I look at it more as like, this is an opportunity for me to go and do something and use the qualities that I have and employ them in the world. So I think that personally is something that drives me every day and creates a lot of different habits that I'm not even conscious of a lot of times. Sure. In terms of my company, I started the company with the mission statement of we're golden rule of business. I'll treat my clients' money, their finances, and their buildings like they're my own. Now, having said that, I make mistakes with my own money sometimes. So it's not a mistake-free, always, everything's Disneyland every single day. I make mistakes. But I think that is the biggest reason that my business has grown so substantially over a relative short period of time. And that's because I've hit on that in our culture constantly. When we're at meetings, then well, what do I do here? What would you do if you owned it? John or Sally, what would you do if it was yours? Well, I would do this. There's your answer. And if people, that we have that culture at our business, and the more that's adopted, the better that my company is going to do. We're not building iPhones or rocket ships. We're changing out toilets and filling leases out in marketing. It's not a super complicated business, but we're in a very fiduciary. I mean, we have controlled people's money, their accounting, the employees that are servicing their assets. And if we come from that approach, that if this were mine, what would I do? And
that. I think that's a great, just always to be thinking about that. I mean, even as we're running real estate investment firms and we're obviously working with thousands of investors, and man, treating that capital just like it's your own, better than it's your own, just like that, like you're talking about. I think that just helps you to make decisions throughout your business. You say it's not complicated, but I think a lot of people would disagree and say, it seems pretty complicated, but really, somebody
on
like
scale,
yourself
it's complicated.
Right. But
the mainline business
put in systems and processes. I mean, no doubt, it takes somebody like yourself to do that. I know we mentioned that. What's that?
One thing is that concept is thousands and thousands of years old.
Right.
So it's not something I brought up. I just fully adopted it because I got treated like my money was mine and somebody was trying to fleece me the first 3 months that I had third-party property management. I'm like, that isn't right. I don't want to wake up every day and look in the mirror and that be the case. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you
I know
off.
we mentioned it in the bio a little bit, but I always like to ask guests how they like to give back.
How do I like to give back? I'm constantly mentoring different entrepreneurs, not only in the multifamily space. I feel like I'm giving back with how I'm raising my 3 boys. And I feel like I take it very personal, these investments, because look, you're serving the tenant, right, with the safe and clean environment, or as safe as you can be in clean environment, and everything functions. I think people deserve that. And it's not some rich guy's money a lot of the time that, your clients, many times, some of them are wealthy, but, many times, especially with syndicators, they have a group of 20 people that, aren't super rich. This is their retirement. This is how these growth rates and the percentages that you make, this is how they retire in their 50s or 60s, or they're lucky in their 40s. So this really has an impact both on the investors, and it has a big impact on obviously the tenants. And so we have to have the empathy that, this isn't just a leak that's sitting there and, well, what's the difference of a toilet's leaking? Well, no, it's death by 1,000 cuts. That's one other thing that's going to make Joe, who invested with this syndicator, be able to retire. He's going to have to retire 6 months later if we have another 500 of these cuts. And so that's why I take it very personal. It's a personal relationship. And even when we deal with our large funds, they've gathered their money from most of the time from, different teachers unions and stuff that rely on this to be their retirement and how they spend time with their family in their latter years.
Ryan, grateful to have met you, and just thank you for sharing your story 28,000 units or plus, managing that. I mean, not just everyone can accomplish something like that or will strive to do that. You've definitely just pushed the limits in many different areas. Successful. I'm grateful for you sharing that story and just elaborating on the due diligence process too, and a few things that we talked about that are overlooked, or just the way people do things. Like only looking at 20% of these and not, or assuming that all the rest of them are the same, or not having a good system there that's or a methodical approach. Where it's repeatable and dependable. I think it's some great points. Tell the listeners though how they can get in touch with you and learn more about you.
So the best way to learn more about me is to go to WehnerMultifamily.com. That's WEHNER ermultifamily.com. I really encourage everybody out there to watch the video, to give them a 9-minute informational. It's not clickbait, so it is 9 minutes long, but it'll give you a very in-depth look of how we do the due diligence and how we operate your building. So I highly recommend that. There's an info at Wehner Multifamily that you can get information, and then we will get back to you quickly. If you we'll just make sure that we get back to you quickly, and then soon we will have by about next month we'll have the Leakaware, and that will be something that will be valuable to people all over the country, and then we'll start really selling outside of Wehner Multifamily. It's a great solution that helps you save. I mean, it has an ROI that pays itself off in 2 months or something. I mean, it's ridiculous. So those two, there's leakaware.com, and then there's wehnermultifamily.com. Highly encourage you to look at the video on wehnermultifamily.com. That will give you a good taste of what we are and what we're all about.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.